Oh, I see what they did there. I love that TikTok way too much. Yes, because I'm a dancer. I used to be a much more hardcore dancer in my younger years. Although I still dance for fun. In fact, I just came from dance class. That's why I'm a sweaty mess. But what I love about TikTok and social media in general, but TikTok even more so for some reason, is that there's so much more room for niche specific comedy because something like this, like, can you imagine pitching this joke to play at a comedy club or like at a sketch comedy show? It is too specific. And when you're performing live comedy, until you're like a really famous comedian and you know who your audience is, you don't necessarily know who your audience is going to be comprised of. So you can't necessarily take these very specific risks when you're performing like at a main stage comedy club. But that's why social media is such a great tool for funny people in general. And this is why I love teaching comedy for social media because there's no limit to what you can make fun of here. The way TikTok works, at least the way the algorithm works, you're presented when you open the app with something called a For You page. And that algorithm, unlike anything else on any other social media platform, the TikTok algorithm caters to your taste and it caters to the stuff that you respond to most. So, because, in the last few months, I've been getting back into dance. I've been watching way more like dance TikToks, like more like dancer health. And naturally, dancer comedy is going to be sprinkled in there. And I love it because, well, I mean, if I have to explain this joke and why I love it so much, it's just a pun. A pun is when you make fun of like the double meaning of a word or a phrase. So a lot of dad jokes, they're puns. Frappe in ballet is a step, if you're in your fifth position and you strike the foot and you practice frappe at the bar so that you can learn how to do like bigger jumps across the floor. But the language of ballet is French. All the vocabulary in ballet is French, and frappe in France means to strike. Now, you notice that she kicked a coffee cup across the floor. Now, can you think of a coffee drink that sounds like frappe? Frappuccino? Yeah, that's where it comes from because it's a drink that's being striked multiple times by a blade inside a blender. So that's where that comes from. That pun at the end, that's striking. That's the literal meaning of the word frappe because she asked for a frappe, but then we also play on the other meaning of striking, like when something's like, wow, that's amazing, that's striking. For a lot of people who are growing their social media and like some of the clients that I've coached, one of the biggest mistakes that I see is them trying to be too general and ultimately not taking risks. And what I'll tell them and what I'm going to start telling you guys because I'm going to start opening up my coaching practice for the internet so you guys can learn for free is to be specific. Because when you are specific, you're more likely to find a very engaged audience. Because jokes that are just kind of generally for anyone, you're going to receive just very basic, not so intense love in return. But when you can make fun of something that people love, if you can make fun of something from a place of love that others love, you're going to get that love in return. And that's honestly the best way to grow a fan base and then to expand from there. And, you can start doing shows. Like if you were a dancer and a comedian, you start doing all these like funny TikToks that are very like dancer specific. Like these are jokes that are just for dancers. The people in the dance community are going to appreciate having something that's just for them and they are going to rock with you. So my challenge for you is to think about what are your hobbies? What are the things you love doing? And how can you make fun from a place of love of the things that you love? That's the direction I kind of want you to go in, especially with social media. Because if you think about, the people that are more likely to see your content, it's going to, like, for example, if we're sticking with the dancer comedy, it's going to be people like me who are perhaps looking up videos like on dancer health, dancer technique, getting back into dance after a certain age. You don't need to know that, although it's not a secret on the internet. But these videos are going to get peppered into those For You pages, and those are the people you want to be reaching, the people who would understand your jokes because they also love the thing that you love. If you have questions, please ask me in the comments. If you make a niche specific TikTok, I don't care what it is, just tag me in it. I want to see what it is. And, use the hashtags and use your captions to talk about what that thing is. I always suggest using subtitles because anything you can do to increase SEO, search engine optimization. Basically, text on your screen is going to help the algorithm identify what this piece of content is, and it's going to push it out to the people who are also interested in that content. So create something specific, tag me, I want to see it, ask me questions, and I'll see you in the next video.